What if the real power behind the most feared Black Mafia crew in America wasn't a man? For years, all eyes were on the men. The hitters, the dealers, the bosses with loud chains and louder reputations. But behind them, hidden in the quietest corners of Atlanta, was Charmaine Dorsey. A woman no one took seriously until she made them. In 2015, Charmaine was just a mafia wife, silent, grieving, invisible. Her husband got life. Her home was raided. Everyone thought that was the end of her story. They were wrong. By 2022, she controlled a $700 million empire, and still, no one could prove it. She owned no cars, signed no leases, and appeared in no paperwork. But the money flowed. Her systems worked, and entire crews moved when she nodded, even if she never said a word. She wasn't supposed to survive. The rules weren't written for women like her. Not in the game, not in the South, not in a world built by blood and betrayal. But she didn't just survive, she studied, she adapted, and then when no one was watching, she took over. One wrong move, and she'd be buried. The feds had her phones tapped. Cartels watched her moves. Even her husband's old crew didn't trust her. She played every side and beat them all. If you've ever believed women don't rule the underworld, this story will destroy that belief. Because power doesn't always wear gold. Sometimes it wears quiet, grief, and strategy. Sometimes it wears heels and a poker face. And Charmaine wore all of it. Stay till the end, because the secret she left behind still haunts the game today. A missing laptop, a hidden bank, a coded message passed between enemies. This isn't fiction, this is real, and it might be the most dangerous story no one ever told. Until now. In 2013, Charmaine Dorsey lived quietly in Atlanta, married to Reggie Stone Dorsey, a flashy lieutenant in the Southern Black Syndicate, a crew moving weight from Detroit to the South. Charmaine stayed in the background, loyal, smart, silent. But behind that calm exterior, she saw everything. Deals, betrayals, weak links, and million-dollar names. By 2014, Reggie's operation was pulling in over $2 million a month. But all the real estate, cars, and accounts, legally under Charmaine's name. For tax reasons, they said. In truth, it gave her quiet control over his empire. She handled meetings with the IRS wearing a church dress and a fake accounting license. She claimed she ran beauty imports. The agent smiled, and she walked away, clean, every time. Then came 2015. Reggie was hit with 45 years. RICO, conspiracy, tax fraud. The syndicate fractured. Half the crew flipped. The feds expected chaos. Instead, they were stunned. Reggie had already transferred every password, crypto wallet, and account access to Charmaine. She didn't panic. She vanished. No interviews, no tears, just silence and movement. She watched who called and who didn't, who tried to take over, who moved sloppy. She said nothing. She just started building. By the end of 2015, she had quietly launched 4 luxury salons in Atlanta strip malls. No signs, no bookings, just names on spreadsheets. One location alone moved $1.2 million in 6 months through shell vendors and fake beauty supply chains. All cash, no trail. That nail spa with velvet curtains? Heron that party rental company with 5 luxury cars. Another front. When one crew member tried to skim $400,000, he retired early. Hospital reports said heart failure. The street whispered cyanide in his protein shake. The pressure grew. Cartel partners were watching. IRS red flagged her tax ID. Feds tapped 3 phones linked to her name. Still, she didn't flinch. She had no army, no protection, just intelligence, and a rising mountain of clean money. The crew still saw her as just a wife, but in reality, she was becoming the one thing they never planned for, a quiet operator with full control. So how does a grieving wife turn into a ghost-level shot caller by the end of 2015? In 2016, Charmaine Dorsey stepped out of the shadows and into a cold warehouse outside Atlanta. 3 ex-syndicate captains waited, men who once answered to her husband. She didn't plead. She presented numbers, roots, and leverage. She offered them something no one else could. Clean money through clean fronts. No bullets, no fingerprints, just profit and silence. This wasn't ambition, it was survival. Charmaine had 2 sons and no protection. If she didn't move fast, the streets, or the feds, would come for her next. Behind the scenes, she built a shell trucking company tied to a fake logistics firm in Texas. Within 8 months, it moved $4.8 million, cleaned through church donations and funeral home invoices. The paper trail was perfect. The IRS saw a grieving widow giving back to the community. One former captain tried to extort her. 2 days later, he disappeared. His car was found torched outside Birmingham. In the trunk, a ledger of laundered cash. No body, no fingerprints. The streets took notice. By late 2016, cartel runners from the Gulf started calling her La Reina Negra, the Black Queen. She wasn't just cleaning money anymore. She was managing drops, negotiating rates, building trust in places where trust kills. But while she rose in the ranks, danger followed her home. Some within the crew wanted her gone, believing she was a temporary placeholder. One woman, they said, couldn't handle what 10 men couldn't survive. The police thought she was the weak link, the one who'd crack under pressure. But Charmaine wasn't cracking. She was studying, learning who leaked, who stole, and who underestimated her. She began recording phone calls. She bought burner phones in bulk. She even paid off a city clerk to run license plates and sealed property deeds. Everything went through layers of protection. She was learning to play dirty without ever appearing in the game. And through it all, she never carried a weapon. Just a notebook, a smile, and one rule. Loyalty bought with money lasts longer than fear bought with bullets. Still, the heat was coming. The feds were building a case. Quiet visits, sealed subpoenas, phone taps. They had enough threads to pull, but they couldn't find the knot. So what happens when the feds finally come knocking? With real proof. When the feds stormed Charmaine's mansion in Atlanta in early 2017, it felt like an earthquake. Armed agents tore through rooms, overturned couches, even sifted through her children's toys. But they found nothing. Nothing but empty safes, clean phones, burner laptops, and shadows. That's because everything was off-site, in dead-drop safes, unmarked storage units, trusts in her offshore name. Her real name wasn't even on the utility bills. So while they ripped out wires and smashed glass, she watched, calm, noting every face in her mind, making a list of those who had snitched. By mid-2017, Charmaine's empire had evolved far beyond the beauty front shell companies. Now, her money moved through fashion capsule lines, real estate NFTs, and escrow funds that didn't exist. She financially backed a crypto venture that trended on TikTok, yet no one knew it was mob money. She signed her name on 6 offshore trusts, but only a tiny circle knew. Then came the play. In late 2017, her closest lieutenant got caught and flipped. He wore a wire. The feds thought they'd fingered her. But Charmaine stayed 2 steps ahead. She deliberately fed him false information, leading federal agents to raid a dead-end drop in Miami. They planted it with fake cash, dummy documents, and phony connections, all designed to blow smoke. The feds celebrated, believing they'd found her. Meanwhile, in Dubai, Charmaine quietly moved real millions through escrow accounts and shell companies. Wire transfers crossed continents, funds that would never touch US banks. No trace, no paperwork, just a network she controlled. By spring 2018, the feds finally realized something critical. They weren't chasing a grieving widow. They were hunting the architect, which brought its own dangers. Inside her syndicate, whispers began. If she was the architect, why was she invisible? Who else had belongings? Whose side were they on? She was no longer safe behind the stereotype of mafia wife. She was a target, from law enforcement and betrayal within her inner circle. She responded like she always did, in silence but with movement. She shifted funds again. She closed one facade, opened another. She rerouted crypto flows. She replaced lieutenants whose loyalty wavered. She made sure that at least one safe house had a way out for her children if things collapsed. And she had a contingency plan, a fortress of identities and dead men's switches. Email accounts that would auto-delete, crypto wallets that auto-liquidated, backups stored in Switzerland, peripherals she didn't control themselves. Enough that even if the feds thought they'd found her, they were looking in the wrong reality. So here's the question that mattered in 2018. When betrayal is certain and law enforcement closes in, how do you build a fortress no one can find or even imagine existed? By 2019, Charmaine Dorsey was gone. Not arrested, not buried, just off the grid. No phones, no internet, no traces. Her crew switched to burner laptops, dropped messages through safehouse lockers, and used codes buried in children's books. She celebrated her son's 10th birthday with a voice-only call. No video, no names, no emotion. Every word could be tapped. Silence wasn't safety. It was survival. Behind the scenes, her money moved faster than ever. Over $27 million was funneled through African medical NGOs. All fake, all fronts. The funds were traced back to a single vault in Zurich, with access protected by 4 passwords, none spoken aloud. That viral breast cancer fundraiser on social media, that was Charmaine. The hashtags, the video campaign, the smiling nurses, all fake. Not a single dollar bought real medicine. She bought data centers in Ghana and Estonia, places with weak compliance laws and cheap digital real estate. Her face never showed up. Payments were made through dead crypto, and the ownership trail led to retired shell companies from the 90s. Then came the scare. Interpol got a tip, a location in Belgium. They raided it fast, only to find a facility staffed by actors, AI-generated files, and a deep-fake version of Charmaine in security footage. She wasn't just hiding, she was playing with perception. By late 2020, she was no longer a mafia wife. She was a ghost with a bank account. But legends attract enemies. A younger crew out of Miami wanted her gone. Not arrested, erased. So the world started asking, when everything gets too loud, how does a woman like Charmaine disappear so completely? Even her name leaves no echo. In March 2021, a burned-out SUV is found on the edge of Fulton County, Georgia. Inside, a charred body. DNA confirms it's Charmaine Dorsey. The news spreads fast. The widow, Queenpin, ghost, dead. But whispers begin. Insiders claim the body was altered weeks before. Bone structure filed, dental records swapped, skin grafts done. Some say the real Charmaine paid $600,000 for a body double, flown in from Eastern Europe. She leaves behind 2 passports, 4 fake IDs, and a handwritten note to her sons. Power ends. Legacy doesn't. That same week, a final $8.9 million wire goes through, sent to a clean energy firm in Switzerland, then split into 6 shell accounts. No names, no trail, just numbers. In Barbados, a quiet resort rebrands under a new name. Bought in full. Cash. No financing. The staff, all hired new. Trained to never ask questions. Guests sign non-disclosure forms at check-in. Then, a street mural shows up in Detroit. A silhouette of a woman. Diamond halo. Bold letters. Charmaine lives. 2 days later, 2 federal agents resign from the case without comment. By 2022, she becomes a myth. People say she's in the Caribbean, or West Africa, or on a private island off the Greek coast. But there's no proof. No voice, no photos. Even her old crew stopped speaking her name. She didn't run the underworld. She outgrew it. Charmaine Dorsey didn't disappear. She deleted the concept of a trail. No one's done it since. No one may ever again. But what was the one secret she used to stay untouchable? Even in death. That's the key the world still hasn't found. By late 2022, whispers turned to fear. The truth wasn't that Charmaine Dorsey disappeared. The truth was why no one came looking. She had built what insiders call the Vault, a hidden network of encrypted blackmail spread across blockchain vaults. Deep inside decentralized ledgers, no names, just triggers. Each one tied to powerful men, senators, CEOs, cartel heads, even dirty law enforcement. If anything happened to her, death, arrest, betrayal. The files release. Full dumps, audio, video, bank logs, kill orders. That's why no one touched her. Because she wasn't holding money. She was holding leverage. One cartel enforcer said it best. She had the kill switch on empires. She didn't need guns. She didn't need a crew. She built a weapon no one could see and pointed it at the entire system. To build it, she gave up everything. Her name wiped. Her sons sent to live under other names. Even her face reshaped and lost to cameras. All to become untouchable. The streets called her a ghost. But she wasn't just haunting the game, she rewrote its rules. The woman once seen as a silent housewife became a living algorithm of revenge, protection, and profit. She wasn't the wife of a kingpin, she was the architect of an invisible empire. And somewhere right now she's watching quietly as her vault stays locked. As long as she breathes, the world stays safe. But if power sounds like silence, who's holding the vault on you?